All right, welcome to the PHP Roadmap. In this explainer, we're taking a super fast tour through the entire learning path, from your very first line of code all the way to professional deployment.
We are absolutely not stopping for long today. The whole point is to give you the full map, hitting every single major landmark on the journey to mastering PHP. So let's dive right in.
So first things first, what even is PHP? Well, at its core, it's a server-side language. That means all the magic, all the thinking happens on the web server. It processes data and builds the page before a single piece of it ever gets to your browser. You just see the finished product.
And this right here, this shows off one of PHP's biggest strengths. It's designed to just slot right into HTML like a puzzle piece. You can literally embed your dynamic logic right inside your web page, which makes it incredibly friendly when you're just starting out.
From there, we've got to give our code a brain, right? Conditionals let it make decisions, loops let it do repetitive stuff without getting bored, and functions. Functions let us wrap up that logic into neat, reusable packages. These are really the three pillars that turn static text into a living, breathing application.
Now, to build anything big, we need to assemble it from smaller files. PHP gives us two ways to do this. You've got include, which is kind of laid back. If a file's missing, it'll throw a warning, but try to keep going. Then you have require. Oh, require is strict. If that file is missing, the whole script just stops, dead in its tracks. You'll need both, depending on how critical that file is. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Pretty much everything you do online comes down to this simple, elegant dance. Your browser sends a request, it's asking for something. The server running your PHP script catches that request, does its work, and sends a response back. That's it. It's the fundamental conversation that powers the entire web.
And that back and forth conversation brings us to what might be the single most important rule of web development. The second any data comes in from a user's request, you have to assume it's hostile. You have to assume it's trying to break things until you've proven it's safe.
And this is the classic poster child for why that rule is so important. An attacker can just slip database commands into a totally normal-looking search box. If you're not careful, they can use that to read all your data, change it, or, just delete everything. Luckily, the defense against this is incredibly powerful. It's called a prepared statement. Basically, you send the command to the database first, with placeholders for the data. Then, in a totally separate step, you send the user's data. The database never gets them confused, and the attack is just completely shut down.
And speaking of security, when it comes to passwords, the rules are absolutely non-negotiable. You never, ever, ever store them as plain text. And you know what? PHP makes it so easy to do the right thing. You use one function, password_hash, to store them, and another, password_verify, to check them. That's the whole game.
So how do we actually talk to the database in a way that's secure and flexible? Well, the modern PHP way is with PDO. Just think of it like a universal travel adapter for your code. It doesn't care if you're plugging into MySQL or Postgres. PDO gives you one consistent, secure way to talk to them, and it makes using those safe, prepared statements super easy.
As our applications start to get bigger, we need a way to keep our code organized. This is where object-oriented programming comes in, and honestly, this analogy is perfect. A class is the blueprint. It defines what something is and what it can do. An object is the actual thing, the house itself, that you build from that blueprint.
Now, instead of building every single house from scratch, we usually use frameworks. Think of them as professional toolkits. In the PHP world, two names really dominate: Laravel, which is all about developer happiness and building things fast, and Symfony, which is more like a collection of industrial-strength, reusable components for really big, complex applications.
And how do we manage all these frameworks and other tools? With Composer. This is probably the single most important tool in modern PHP. You just list what you need in a file called composer.json. Composer downloads it all and creates a composer.lock file. And that lock file, that's the secret sauce. It guarantees that every single developer on your team is using the exact same version of everything.
Modern PHP also gives us automated guardians for our code, and the key phrase here is before it is run. Tools like PHPStan will actually read your code just like an architect checking blueprints and find sneaky bugs and potential problems long before your users ever have a chance to.
Okay, so our application is built, it's solid. But is it fast? Well, that brings us to performance, and it all begins with this one golden rule. Trying to make your code faster without any data is just pure guesswork. You have to measure first to find out where the real slowdowns are. In this slide right here, it illustrates the single biggest performance win you can get in PHP, OPcache. I mean, the analogy is perfect. Without it, the server is like a chef reading the entire recipe from scratch for every single order. But with OPcache turned on, the chef memorizes the recipe after the first time, and every request after that is nearly instant.
So what's the final bridge that actually delivers our super-fast application to the world? That's the web server. And the two heavyweights here are Apache, the old-school, time-tested workhorse, and Nginx, the newer challenger that was built from the ground up for speed and handling tons of traffic, usually with something called PHP FPM.
And there you have it, a full fast-forward tour of the entire landscape. We've gone from a simple hello world all the way to securing data, building with massive frameworks, and deploying high-performance systems.
So that's the full map of the PHP world. The big question now is, where do you want to go next?
Really, 3 main paths open up from here. You can dive even deeper into back-end development in general. You can zoom way out to see the bigger picture with system design, or you can master the entire deployment pipeline with the DevOps roadmap. The choice is all yours.
But for now, let's zoom back in. Pick a checkpoint on the map that looks interesting and start your real, detailed journey with the full PHP Roadmap playlist. Go map your path and start building.